Good evening, everyone. How are you on this evening? My name is Cynthia, also known as C. Reese Tucker. I'm your host, the real Cynthia Tucker. And tonight I have my son with me, Mr. Tucker. Tonight
Hello.
we invite you all to come into the living room where your conversation is safe, where you are loved, where you know that you are special and that you matter. And we always, before you all came into the living room, before you all took your shoes off, before you made yourself comfortable, we had prayer because it's important to start off with prayer so we can end with it and invite God in the atmosphere because He is the author and the finisher of my faith. um, be encouraged. Let's be totally clear that everyone is welcome. It doesn't matter what language you speak. I pray you understand the language that I'm speaking. I pray that wherever you may be, if you're driving, that you're doing that safely, that you're listening safely. And for those of you who call in, please give us a call at 508-924-3521. Tonight's topic is going to be I want to ask the question: who encouraged you in your journey, or were you going through something and someone guided you and helped you along the way? If so, talk to me tonight and tell us who that person was, and if they're available, if they're still on this side of life, if they could hear you, what would you say to them, and how did they impact the trajectory of your life? Boy, I'm nervous on tonight. I'm sorry, and I don't have dentures, so it's not because my teeth are jacked up. But if you have them, it's okay. That means you just had to add some extra furniture, right? But anyway, welcome, Mr. Tucker. How are you on tonight? I want to ask you that question, son. Way out yonder, across the world, where you are,
Yeah.
who was that person that influenced your life? How did they help you in your moment that you may have been going through something? And talk to us tonight.
Well, for me, first I want to say good evening, everybody. Hope all is well wherever you are. As always, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I kind of consider myself no longer to be like a guest, but maybe I got a little seat on the couch here in the living room. So,
Okay,
for everyone else that decides to join, we got a nice little sectional, so come on in.
come on
We're trying to spread the love a little bit,
in.
but Um, so tonight, like you said, the topic is about people that encourage you or helped you along the way. And one scripture that I always refer to is when you're talking about topics like this is Hebrews 13 and 7.
Mm,
And it goes, remember your leaders who spoke the word of God to you.
mhm.
Consider the outcome of their way of life and imitate their faith. And with that, I was encouraged by many
Good.
people along the way in my life, from pastors to my mom, my grandma, my granddad, uncles. I think I had a nice wealth of people that were in my life that wanted to see me do great, especially because they just knew how things were in the world, especially for a young black man. And a lot of times I didn't want to see it that way. As a kid, you kind of grow up and you're just like, I figured it out, or I can't wait till I'm 18.
Mm,
And those little, I can't even say little because they come full circle. Those words that were spoken in my life, they resonate with me well still to this day. Um, One person in particular, which is still a tender topic for me, because my
mm,
uncle had passed uh, just over a year ago, a year and about 2 weeks ago now. And he was a very good model in our family, just because he kept his head held high no matter what. You never
mm.
knew his struggles. You didn't know anything was wrong until you sat down and spoke with him, because he always kept it tight. I mean, it didn't matter if it was he didn't have a hair out of place. Then
Never.
his jeans were always creased and sharp, and shirt
Let's
would
say
be
that.
pressed,
Yes.
stuff like that. So, um, I think about that. It's just like the things that he always said to me. He just always kept me encouraged. And even when I thought about just making silly decisions, it was almost like he knew I was going to do something. He would message me and it'd be, hey, nephew, what you got going on? And I'm like, dang, I didn't even say anything. Like, I didn't, how do you know? And it just
Yeah.
let me know because it was like almost if he was in tandem with my mom because I didn't even say anything to my mom. And my mom would circle back and text me, hey, you all right? You good? Or she'll drop these random prayers in the group chat. Um, and it'd be spot on. It's just confirmation to let me know that, she was in tune and so was he. And I know some like his career choice sometimes did not allow him to go to, get into the house of God often, but he still was find ways to, plug in and tell me like, it's no excuse. I work a career where I didn't have opportunities to go to church or even any spiritual, place at all because I worked on Sundays, Saturdays, Fridays, whatever. And he would just encourage me no matter what to make the best decision. He told me sometimes the road's going to be rough. Um, you may be put into positions where you might feel compromised, and you can't. So, basically, what I'm saying is just think about someone who helped you grow spiritually or emotionally. Um, Someone who didn't, who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. And I always say that those types of people are the ones that deserve to be remembered and honored. And if you have the opportunity to, while you're out there, if they're still on this side, maybe today is a good day to call them, write a message,
Absolutely.
or just even say their name out loud and thank God for them. They need it. Those people that
Hey,
invest
family.
in you and talk to you, they need it. Hello.
Oh, sorry. That was my, somebody was asking me on my podcast, on my Facebook, how do I get on to watch? So I opened it up when I saw the comment. So you heard somebody, that was me saying, hey, family, when I started. So I'm glad you did speak
Oh,
though.
okay,
Thank you for
okay.
being kind enough to speak to people. Keep
Oh,
talking.
no problem. No problem. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to say. Just make sure if you can, while you have the opportunity to talk to them and thank them, because I can't say that I thanked my uncle for the stuff that he, put in my life or the words that he spoke or even the investments that he made in me to keep me out of, trouble or out of the way. And he wasn't just the only one, but he's the one that's no longer here. And I can't say that I had the opportunity to thank him. So if you can, thank the people that have helped you along the way, no matter what. Um, and honestly, I made this move to Texas um, halfway across the world because he encouraged me as well. And that's where he was, going. And that's where he lived for the last days of his life. And he just told me, he was like, it's no different than making the moves that you made before. He said, just stay true to who you are, no matter where you are. Um, and he would always say, you're a true Tucker. And ironically, that's what I named my son, True Tucker. So it was just those small pieces of advice that he would throw at me that kept me encouraged and helped me along the way. For that, I'm grateful for it. But I won't steal the shine because I know my mom's
No,
got some stuff in there
you
too.
don't have to. No, it's not about stealing shine, son. You got something to say. It's very important. Um,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for so many people along my journey in every aspect of my
Yeah.
life. Um, my parents, of course, who pushed me and encouraged me, and my brother Tony that you talked about, my brother Tyrone also, and my brother Greg that also transitioned would always tell me, you could be whatever you want to be, whatever, like you're so smart, you could do this and do that. And even when I didn't believe in myself, they did. Teachers were kind to me, but I guess because of where I grew up at, you grew up in the suburbs. How often are they really encouraging young black people in a mostly white neighborhood? they doing their job. Like, oh, you're fine. You can tie your shoe. But no real teacher stands out to me. But I do want to say happy, Teacher Appreciation Day to all the wonderful educators who may be watching this or might know an educator that could be watching this, or somebody that, helped you along your journey. For me, I'd have to say, Elder Danette Brown, who was my godmother, may she rest in eternal peace, who got me into my love of worship. It was her. My parents they lived and listened to a lot of music, mainly gospel and R&B and um, like a like the black rock and roll, I guess you want to call it. However, it was Elder Brown who got me into Commission and the Winans, Yolanda Adams, all that. We would listen in Jersey. We would listen to, I think it was called Star 99.1, and she would put that on. And then she had tapes and different things like that. And when I listened, I was like, wow, I can harmonize to this. So, and it increased my love for worship music and the things of God all the more. Just seeing her mannerisms and hearing how she managed her home really blessed me, and it really encouraged me. And then it was mainly women, but definitely there are some men in my life too. But also a shout out to um, Mama Gloria Garrettson, Renee. If you're watching, Renee Garrettson's mother, um, my sister Aletha, Renee, Preston's mom, so many different people, showing me how to bake, showing me how to cook, besides the stuff that my mother taught me. She taught me all the foundational things. Um, First Lady Lula Mae Hicklin, may she rest in peace. So many different people. Thank God I was exposed to greatness. People who would show me how to do different things. I would be in the kitchen with them. Also to my cousin Josette's mother, Aunt Christine. I was in that kitchen. That's why my greens are so good, because I watched her. She and my mom cooked them a little differently, and my mom's weren't as spicy as Aunt Christine's, and she would make. God, she had a lot of children. We had a lot of first cousins, so she made stuff. She cooked every night. Like, to me, it seemed like she was cooking for school. There's so many different people who were so very involving, mainly my mother, fat, but how I can mix patterns and do different things, how I did my hair, the style of my glasses, how I wore my red lipstick from the time I was a little girl once wasn't supposed to. Just they gave me that confidence, that extra vote of confidence that I did not always have. God, just so many people, I remember being a young parent, and there were some neighbors that lived next door to us when we lived on West Fifth Street. And those people were godly people, and they would always try to find something to bless us with, whether it would be bikes for y'all or giving y'all money, giving us furniture. My husband and I, before we got married, we lived together and we were young starting out, and they would just be like, hey, y'all need some furniture? Like, furniture? Sure, we'll take that. It was an upgrade for us, and just I can just think of so many. There are also, I'll say this, sometimes you don't always have a good memory of a person. They could have done something mean to you, but that still was a catalyst to help you get to where maybe you shouldn't have been, or get you to. You're always in God's divine destiny, because God is intentional. The enemy is intentional too. However, God has the final say. The enemy couldn't touch Job until he got permission from God. How about that? So when things are going on in your life, sometimes we open the door for things. Let's just go right there. We open the door for things that happen to our lives. But on this night, on this platform, in our living room, this safe space, we also cancel the assignment of the enemy that has tried to bombard your mind and your thoughts, and thinking bad thoughts about people. Oh, this person didn't help me get here. That person, no, 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 no. We trust God that you're where you're supposed to be. Actually, also listening to who you're supposed to be listening to at this very moment. And you're here in the living room. Come join us, 508-924-3521. I'm so used to hearing from my friend in St. Louis, also from what's her name, Miss
Mississippi.
yeah, Miss Annie in Mississippi. God bless y'all. I hope to hear somebody calling, and if not, it's okay. We're gonna enjoy ourselves. My son and I kick our feet up in the living room and trust that y'all are being blessed tonight. If you can just go back in your memory, go back to a place in time to think of who blessed you. I just
Yeah.
came to my mind was one of my childhood friend Tanya, her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Horn, were always so nice to me, treated me like one of theirs. And her father, Mr. Horn, would always say, "What you want to eat? I know you're greedy. What you want to eat?" He said, "I got some sausage and peppers for you. Go on in there and make yourself some." I was always blessed to be made at home. People know I love to eat. As you can still see, I do. Can't you see? To God be the glory. My stomach is not touching my back. And God has kept me. So I was thinking about this topic being so important, especially around mothers, that everybody didn't grow up with their birth mother. Everybody didn't always have good experiences with their birth mother. So I just wanted to afford the platform for people to just say, hey, thank you to, it could have been the mailman, it could have been somebody at the school store that always smiled at you even when you were having a bad day. You know, I want to say thank you to all of my children for helping push me to be a better mom and helping me be an even greater grandparent. You know, and y'all pushed me. Y'all were my reasons for doing some of the things I did, trying to do better, trying to be better, truly. When y'all would go away, my parents, love my parents, they would always take my children away for the summer. And I'm like, but they're my strength. When everybody else be like, "Girl, you got a chance to get away, or let your kids get away. You can go places." Guess what I did? I stayed right at home. I did nothing because I didn't know anything other than being a parent. May not have been the best of parent, but I knew that I was born to be their parent, and I didn't want to just run the streets. It was not something I was into. So I wanted to be a parent, and I felt like I couldn't be a parent because my children weren't there. So I feel like they were gone for like, seemed like 5 months, but it was only maybe 2 months. And I grieved them being gone. So by the time they came back, I was like, yeah, now I need a break. Because it was mommy, I gotta tell you something. So thank God for my parents. My mother's no longer here with us, but I thank God for her realizing that every parent needs to recharge and reset. So she would take my children and take them down there to North Carolina for the summer, where they had a chance to spend time with her and learn about life, learn how to garden, learn how to do a whole bunch of things they do
Oh yeah.
out in the country. So build dog houses upside down. They learned a plethora of things, y'all. Yes, they did. They
It
had a
was
chance to go
hot.
to the beach. Yes, it was hot.
It was
And look
so
where you
hot.
moved to a place where it's hot, right?
Yeah, it was hot.
Must have enjoyed it, right?
I did. I did. It was a good time. It was a good time. It was
And
different, especially being a city kid to going down there. It was like those first few weeks was like Shawshank Redemption, just trying to figure it out. It was, oh man, that was different.
Ooh
You know,
wee. Did he say
going down
Shawshank
there,
Redemption?
yeah, it
Oh
was
my
no
God.
phone service, nothing.
Oh
Boy, that was
my
tough,
God.
but it worked out. I grew to
That
love
is
what the South had to
hilarious.
offer. So
Oh
it was
my
good.
God. He said
You
Shawshank
know.
Redemption. That is
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah, it was different, but as the time progressed, I grew to love it and appreciate it. It was a good time,
Oh
you
my
know. So,
God.
um, and as we touch on these topics, I just want you to know that each of you can be that type of influence to someone else too. So just make sure that your appearance is impressionable, and definitely don't ever
Absolutely.
underestimate your influence on someone else. Don't ever underestimate that. And I actually get that often. Sometimes, just even at work, I get coworkers that pop in and they message me and say, "Hey, you got a second?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." They're like, "How do you stay so calm in these situations?" or you just never know. And here I am, I'm
Hmm.
looking at these people like, dude, you guys work in the midst of chaos daily. People getting shot at all the time, dealing with just all types of people. Um, and here I am, I'm like the sky and eye in the sky. I sit back and I see it all, but I don't have to deal with it directly. And they come and call me or ask me, how do you manage being so calm? How do you stay, quiet and relaxed in such a chaotic environment? I'm just like, I don't know. But so I'm speaking to myself as well when I'm saying don't underestimate your influence on someone else. You know, like you may not feel like a spiritual giant or whatever, but you just remember that your consistency, your kindness, and faith can be exactly what someone else may need.
Absolutely.
You know, the
I say to
same
my
way people have shaped you. God wants you to use you to shape others. So
absolutely. I think also on the male side, my pastor, my current pastor now is also my god brother, my cousin, friend, Pastor Dale Hickman, always trying to make sure I'm good, trying to make sure everybody's good, but he always makes time for me to see how I'm doing. And he can hear it in my voice like, what's up? I say nothing. Like, nah, something ain't right. I say, oh, no, I'm good. Like, nah, 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 spit it out. And I'd be like, man, one of the only people in my life besides my brother Tony that passed that can get me to tell something I don't feel like talking about. But like I don't feel like talking about it. But like, but you're gonna talk about it today. I'd be like, I'm grown. Like, okay, we're gonna talk about it. My son has that same effect on me. Be like, what is it with y'all? If I say I don't want to talk about it, I'm gonna talk about it. And guess what? Guess what I end up doing? Talking about it.
you're gonna learn
And
today.
so one of the most influential people in my life. And I thank God for his father too. And shout out to Bishop Hicklin and my father. My father could tell. I thought my mom had that gift. My dad has it too. Where even now, my father is 90 years old. And this man, I talked to him today. He could tell, like, hey, what's going on? You all right? Hmm. You sure? Nah, something just don't sound right. Like, no, Dad, I promise. I'm okay. Would you lie to me? No, you wouldn't lie, but you wouldn't tell the whole truth. Like, so there are people who take the time to know you so well. They can tell when there's a tear about to fall. They can tell when um, things are taking a different turn in your life and you're trying to figure out how to manage it and still have a conversation. My son has made his children in that same way. My oldest grandson down to the youngest have a way of knowing when something's wrong. You try and hide it all you want. They are every single one of them are empaths. Some more
Yeah,
empathetic than others, but every
yeah,
single one of my grandchildren are. They're an inspiration. They are beyond their years, and you can have a whole conversation with them, almost like they're an adult. I
yeah,
thank God for them too, that they have helped make me a better human being. If you don't have grandchildren and you're aspiring to be a grandparent, hold on because when that day comes, you'll be ready. You'll be prepared. God is preparing you to be at that mature place because it takes a level of maturity to be a grandparent, especially if you're a young grandparent. You
yeah,
have to differentiate and separate the frustration you may have with your child or
yeah.
someone else, because when that grandchild comes, no matter the situation that they come in, you're going to inspire them and they're most certainly going to inspire you. My
Right.
grandchildren inspired me a lot. They made me so much better that it's when they were first born, man, I cried. I was like, nothing else around me mattered. When my first grandchild was born, it was during the time of Hurricane Sandy. So when he came, it was like hurricanes. What hurricane? We had no power, we had nothing, but we had each other, and we had this new baby that we had to navigate life and figure out how to warm bottles with no electricity and do different things. He created innovation in us and more love. Just when you think you don't have enough love to give, God will
Mm.
bring somebody and drop them off at your in your lap.
Yeah,
And those,
that was definitely like the true stork story,
yeah,
the real life version. 'Cause
hmm,
fell on the lap, man, and it brightened the days, and he still does that. You know, and
Absolutely.
even down to my girls and the youngest, like you said, they
Mm.
are true empaths because even the baby, like if I'm having a tough day, he will not let me go. He just he'll yoke me up, hold my shirt all day long, make sure
That's
that
true.
he's like, you're loved, like daddy. I need you. So stay focused, stay strong. And my kids tell me the same thing. I encourage them every day the same way. And I tell them, like, I love you. It's going to be good. We're going to be fine. Keep your heads up. You're kings and queens. Like, we do our daily affirmations. And, and even then, like, I feel like I may be an inspiration to them, but just as much they are an inspiration to me. And it's funny,
Absolutely.
as I'm saying that, my daughter, Peachy, just texted me,
She did.
and that's what she does. She closes out the day and lets me know that she's good. But
Hey, Peachy.
yeah, yeah, that's just what it is. This is what we do. We have to be an inspiration. Um,
Absolutely.
you just never know who's paying attention at all.
You really,
Never
now
know
that
who's
is
paying
so
attention.
very true. You never, never, never know. When I came back to work, um, to the office, my first time in the office in 2 weeks, and people were like, "Man, I miss you. I haven't seen you." And I was like, "Wow, I felt special. I'm only there for a few hours in my own little corner cubby, but I'm like, man, I missed your smile. Like, oh, it's so good to see you." That's a good feeling when people enjoy you coming, because that's
Yeah,
not everybody's story. Everybody's not always happy to see you. So when you have
right.
someone that is, it's a blessing. It's an absolute honor. And I
Yeah,
want to say to those, there might be someone out there who's listening now who can't think of anybody positive that helped them along the way. Maybe it is you had a hard way to go in life and you are having, in the middle of this moment right now, you're having a hard time. I'm asking God to cover you. I'm asking God to keep you, to shift your mind and rely, and lean on Him. Lean on Him being Jesus Christ, not Him being a man, not Him being someone who can fail you, but the infallible God, the Lord Jesus Christ. Psalms 91 and 1 says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust." That's something that I have to remind myself of. Before my mother transitioned, this is one of the scriptures she gave me and told me to hold on to that because she knew that I was going to need that. When you lose someone that's close to you, oh my God. And sometimes it's when you're not close to someone, but you know they're transitioning and you like, man, I'm going to miss this person. Even if you're not close to them, it doesn't mean you're not going to miss someone when they transition. And then you start, all those memories start coming back like, man, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but didn't. Don't let another day go past where you woulda, coulda, shoulda. Love on that person, as my son said today. Love on that person. Apologize to someone. Don't wait for someone to apologize to you. I've actually been one that I had to apologize even though I didn't do anything. I apologized and I forgave people. I've said, listen, I forgive you for what you did to me or what you even going to do. And that person went off on me. But I was right. They needed to apologize. But if you sit and wait for an apology, but sometimes some people, it's not in them to do it. If we have a godlike character, then it's our job to be that. So I want to apologize to somebody I may have offended, not even realize it. Sometimes even telling the truth, you offend people. Sometimes. And sometimes it's your delivery. It's not what you say, it's your delivery. So I apologize for my delivery. But however, I'm telling you, I mean everything I say. Yes, absolutely. Hey, Sister Rose, God bless your daughter. If you'd like to give us a call in at 508-924-3521. Tonight we're talking about those who may have influenced you or encouraged you along the way, went through something in your life and they blessed you. And you are also one of those people who, when I needed a place to live, you offered that to me. You know what I'm saying? I needed to move, and you allowed me and my children, my two children, to move in with you and yours, and we had a good time. Every day wasn't sunny, but most times it was. And when you move in with someone of the same sex, especially women, I don't know how it is with guys. Sometimes it can be a little rocky. We made it work in our little space, right? Had one little kid, one of mine pooped in one of your kids' shoes. Like we had some We had some times in it, but God still made it work. She's not watching tonight, so I could talk junk about it. She was only 2 at the time, but to God be the glory. Happy belated birthday to my godson, Romaine Barlow, by the way. Um, thank God for him, and never to dismiss his twin, my other godson, Lamar, who transitioned many years ago. Well, not many years ago, but a few years ago. May he continually rest in peace. Sis, yes, we're talking tonight. To those of you who may want to call in or you just want to listen, 508-924-3521. Who was your influence? It could be a godly person. It could be a school teacher. It could be somebody at the supermarket where you are that
Yeah.
did something for you and helped change your life, helped you keep from making a decision that would have affected you forever up until now. I have so many stories. That's not always everybody's testimony. I'm grateful to have so many people have something to say. I sounds like I got a call on tonight. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from? Talk to us on tonight.
This is your sister Rose.
Hey, Sister Rose, how you doing, sis?
South Kakalaki.
Woo! How you doing
I'm
tonight?
doing fine. And I'm just laughing because every time you mention Fifth Street, you should see Antoine's face. I
I
definitely don't know
know.
what he's going to say.
Yeah, we need to ask him what that face is about.
Oh man.
Okay, I got to turn something down. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, you said influence. Whether you know it or not, you've been an influence in my life as well. Being a prayer warrior,
Oh,
for me, and I'm thankful and grateful. I'm thankful for God for connecting us in the strange way that He connected us.
yes.
But we know all things that God put together works out for the good. And like you
Absolutely.
said, we didn't have everything on Fish Street, but you couldn't tell it.
Couldn't. I know that's right.
But
We had
God
each
still
other.
got the happy times, sharing with the kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank God for your life. I thank God for you. We met through someone who was no longer here, but the amazing thing that he knew, God uses everything and he makes no mistake. That person said, I know someone, he said to me, I know someone who's just like you and y'all will be good friends. Y'all gonna end up being best friends for this is over with. And I was like, really? And he told me who, and he said, y'all got to meet. And he took me down there to meet. Did I meet you down south first? Or did I meet you up here?
That's down south, yes.
And then we came back and we re-met up here when I had the board, right? Yes, yes. Because when I met you,
Yes.
Antoine
Mhm.
was just had his first birthday, if I'm not mistaken, because the twins had just turned 2.
Right.
Yes, right. So we've been going way back because our children are old, girl. Whew. They're older than the
Oh,
age we were when we met each other. Oh my
whoa.
lord.
Whoa.
Oh. Sorry, son. Didn't know. Whew. Didn't know you were listening in. My bad. Whew. Sorry. Yeah. So I thank God for you. We've been thick as thieves in good way, taking back what the devil stole from us. How about that? If we're gonna say thick as thieves, you know, she taught me how to make a lot of different food that I can sell when I sell dinners now. The creative spin she puts on things. She's crafty, you're witty, you use your hands, and you always help. Always made sure my hair was fly. You can see I need a little touch of, but yeah, you always make sure I never left the house looking any kind of way. And I thank God for your life, your influence, your kindness, your love, always showing up. When my mother, I never forget when my mother died. When you got the word, you were so. I want to say you were almost more emotional than I was. I felt like I couldn't even feel anything, and you just sat and you rocked, and you were praying for me, and you helped me. You even helped me do my mother's hair. My mother was cold on a slab in the back of the funeral home, and you, woman of God, were there. You did her hair. So many times you kept me. That right there was so much. But even times well before then, and maybe even on that day, you kept me from going to jail for about to make some decisions that would have changed the trajectory of my life. Is the word I was trying to say earlier. You, it was you, and I thank you for that. So many people would have wanted to help in that way, but couldn't. There's so many people who, when you think about it, when you show up for them, but they don't show up for you, you show up no matter what. That's just who you've been to me. And I thank you for that. You helped me when I didn't even realize I needed help. You were the one praying for me before you called me a prayer warrior. I'd be like, church, man, I ain't going to no church. It's church across the street. You go to church. And look now, here we are, leaders in the church serving God. Boy. Mm-mm-mm. Child, look at my
Yes,
son,
yes.
the one that would talk back to you all the time. I ain't got to do. My mama said, That's probably what he be thinking about right now when we
My
talk about
mama
his
told me to tell you.
He did a Kevin Hart, right?
Terrible.
I'm gonna make Antoine laugh. You remember you went walking down the street and you was hitting the kids and you said, "My mama said if somebody hit me, hit them back."
Hit him
And you kept
back.
doing it. I said, "Susie, you
Yep.
gotta tell them they gotta hit him first."
Oh my God. Jesus, have mercy, Lord.
I
I
definitely
had to
remember
think
that.
about those little cute
I,
moments, and
I
to see you
definitely
now,
remember
it's
that.
just, but
Jesus, help us, Lord.
yes, I
Jesus.
Yeah.
you got humbled quickly and earlier in life, but
Yeah,
the payoff is great. The payoff is great.
Amen.
definitely. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a good one for sure.
Ooh, Jesus,
For
good
sure.
God. Besides me, sis, was there anybody else that was influential in your life along your journey that helped you? Could have been an aunt, could have been a neighbor.
Um, hmm. Well, I can say my aunt Pearlie out of my family um, was an influence to see how someone life transformed from being unsaved to saved and
Hmm.
still a soldier to this day. Um, so I look back at her and know that change, God can make you change, and you have to want it.
That
My
part.
aunt Rosa May, when her daughter was hit by a car, and the doctors just gave her up. So I always say that she showed me faith. When I think about faith, I think about her. Because even when the doctor was telling her, your daughter's not going to live much longer, she's never be able to walk, she's going to be a vegetable, but she's still living today, walking. They said she did not have children. She has a child.
Yes, she does.
Um, she went back and finished school. She's
And
a
she's a
minister
preacher.
as well
Hmm.
now. So those are little nuggets that, I can flash back and keep pushing forward. Um, and of course, those are the two that sticks out right now.
Wow. If you think of any more, we can always do a part two. I thought it was so appropriate for with Mother's Day coming up, but there are also again some male influences that you know encourage you to do things and interjected in your life when you could have made some choices or to encourage you to make that choice. I'm
Yeah.
grateful. I also want to thank God for Jermaine, rest his soul, because when I would sometimes lose sight of who God was in my life, he reminded me that I reminded him about Jesus. Isn't it something? He reminded me, like, hey, 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 you don't want to tell me about Jesus. Get back on track. God will use people. He'll use the influence of people who would, out of the mouth of a fool. Well, God allowed people to, even the rocks would cry out. So just before I could make a decision that could change my life or change somebody else's life, God would send people to say different things to me, and it would totally be like, "Whoa, wait a minute, that was
Mm,
deep, that was powerful." And
right.
everybody that is going to be an influence is not always a godly per se influence. It could be anybody. It could be something you saw on TV and it changed your mind.
Yeah. God definitely works through people.
Absolutely.
He often, speaks, teaches us, shapes us through others. You know, I mean, if you really think about it from the beginning of the scripture, God shows us how he used his relationships to build up his people. You know, it's like Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So,
That's
you know,
good.
when you think about that in present day, iron doesn't sharpen itself at all. You know, so we obviously we're gonna need people, others to help refine ourselves. Right. Is when we need people to help challenge ourselves to lift us up, you know, even when we're down. So, you know,
Amen.
and you're gonna have people like that in your lives. It may not be those super influential people that, you know, everyone likes to name. Like, I mean, me growing up in, you know, some the neighborhoods I grew up, I may have been influenced by, you know, somebody on the block, or the crackhead that knew how to fix cars. You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
and that's just because,
It was
believe it
hustle.
or not, yeah, it was a hustle. But believe it or not, some of those people, you never know how much they saw, what they experienced, and they try to keep you away from that. You know, and I experienced that even as a young teenager. You know, seeing, you know, everybody out there with money and throwing it around and stuff like that.
Right.
And I even had some of those guys tell me, hey, young man, or hey, Tuck, you doing good, man. Don't be like us." And that was
Mm-hmm.
just enough
Absolutely.
influence or enough encouragement to keep me away from it. That inspired me to say, okay, well, maybe that's not the path I want to go down, because if they're telling me not to do it, then don't do it. You know, and like I said, even just like I said, some of the neighborhood crackheads and stuff, they'll tell you like, "Oh, you don't want to be like me when you grow up." And
Right.
as a
Nobody
kid,
signs
I'm
up to
looking
do that.
right. No one signs up to do that, and that it made me want to ask them why. How did they end up that way? And unfortunately, a lot of them were influenced by other people. So here they are now telling me, as a 12, 13-year-old kid, 14, even up into earlier days, telling me, don't be influenced by everything that you see out here. Find a way to separate the good from the bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I held on to a lot, because, you know, it's so easy to be influenced by that. Now I think about it, you look at the music, the videos, the video games,
Yeah.
everyone's influenced by something. So again, that's why I circle back to just making sure that you yourself are, you know, an individual that can be encouraging, and, you know, making sure that you're honoring yourself, and, you know, honor those who lead and love you. When you do
The
that,
word
when you
talks
show
about
that
that.
respect,
Obey
yeah, it
those who
does.
have rule over you. It's important.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can,
Even if
you
you don't, it
know,
didn't even say you had to like them. It said
yeah, you didn't
obey
have to
them.
like them. Just obey them.
Because I know y'all ain't like me growing up. I know you didn't.
Mm. Well, I was gonna say,
You
in
see his
most
face, bro.
cases, no, no, I was gonna say, you know, that I always felt like that was one of the most controversial, you know, verses in the Bible,
Oh
because a lot of
God.
people put, well, no, a lot of people put a twist to that and say, you know, it was about slavery and, you know, honoring, making sure you obey the oppressors, what have you. But it's
Mm-hmm.
really just being respectful to those who govern over you, and in some walk of life, whatever.
Right. Whether
But
it's
yeah,
school, work,
yeah, I mean,
home.
because you're gonna be a kid or an adult somewhere. I may not like some of my managers or
You want
whatever.
that check, right?
Yeah, superintendents, whatever. But I'm like, dang, they sign off on payroll every Friday, so I'm just gonna do what I have to do.
We gonna be cool for now, you
Yeah, we're
know?
gonna be cool for now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
so many people I still gotta thank God for. I feel like I'm doing a roll call for the Emmys or something, but I think about Tracy and Missy. Happy birthday to you, Missy. God bless you. And congratulations on getting your master's. Proud of you for that. You know,
That's
to
right.
my sister
Congrats.
Renee, like so many people help me. And sometimes, even when the help is people say, I'm going to take my hands off you and let whatever happen because you didn't listen. Sometimes you feel like that's a hard thing. However, sometimes that's a good thing. There's a time when the parent has to pull back from the child. That helped me. Those moments when they pulled back, when they wanted to, you could see where they wanted to do something, embrace me. They couldn't because that wasn't what I needed at that moment. That moment I had to learn. I had to learn to deal with the decision that I made, but they didn't do it to where I was going to die. It was just so that I could learn. Even being a parent, being a young parent, there were times my mother had to let me manage you, because how else was I going to learn? Like, okay, you made this decision. You ain't got to suffer like that, but you're going to get up tonight because we got to go to work in the morning. You got to go to school, but you got to go to work. They didn't do anything hard or harsh to me. Parents wasn't mean to me, right? They just wanted to help me grow and mature. Caller, you still there? What else you got to say to us? Talk to us. And anybody else that want to call in, give us a call back at 508-924-3521. Talk to us, Rose. We thank you for still being on the line tonight.
For sure, for sure.
It's an honor to have her on tonight.
I say, well, from that mother perspective,
Mm-hmm.
trying to take your hands off children, these children, I'm some grown children. And it's funny that you said that because I just told Renee. I said, I'm trying, I really tried. I said, but I feel responsible for y'all, my kids. Thank God gave me the kids, so I already knew that was my responsibility. So I hold on a little tighter, a little longer, because I know what God gave me, so I'm honoring God, and so me honoring God, I gotta really keep my hands on you.
Amen.
Because that's just my way of thanking God for them, in a way, and just with the over helping.
That's it right there. Sometimes we have to keep our hands around them, but keep our hands out of the situation. You know what I'm saying? We in other words, where we're praying for them, it's hard. I know it's something I had to do. We're gonna put a pin in that right there. We got another caller. Thank you for sharing with that Rose. Caller, what is your name and where you calling from? Talk to us tonight. Tonight we're talking about who was the influence in your life. Who helped you along your way, and what would you like to say to them if you had a chance to say something to them? Hello.
My name's Dale, and
How are
if
you,
I
Pastor?
could talk to one person that influenced my life, it would be right now Shotgun, a guy named Robert Walker, and unfortunately he went home last year to be with the Lord, but he impacted my life greatly. I got a chance to hear you and Antoine have dialogue earlier, and then Rose called in. I got a chance to hear all the wonderful things that you guys was talking about. And I guess the part for me, that's why you have to love on people while they're here.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it'll be uncomfortable because you have to put yourself out there. You got to first be willing to put yourself out there. Mm-hmm. And that's not always an easy place to be, because you feel vulnerable. And the fact of the matter is this: if you leave today, would you want them to know how much you really cared? Mm-hmm. And you live with the fact that they didn't get a chance to hear you say, I love you, or you stop by and do whatever good gesture you was going to do, putting it off for tomorrow because tomorrow's just not promised. And although I had the ability to love on him while he was here, the impact that he had in my life while he was here was tremendous. And the African proverb saying that it takes a village to raise a child, I don't think you could really pinpoint just any one person going through life that influenced you. He would be one, just one of, because when I was wayward and not really, my feet wasn't under me and I was going down the road of that my parents didn't raise me to go down,
Mhm.
because of wanting to do more things in my life and seeing assimilating myself with people that were getting it, but they weren't getting it the right way. He came
Mm.
at a keen time in my life to let me know that that's not the way to do it. And when God sent him to be a part of my life at that time, it was also during the time where I did not feel the closest to my father. So God had two men.
Right.
He had Shotgun, who was on the street side, and he had Jimmy,
Mhm.
who had just came on the Lord's side, but was his best friend. And both of them was able to talk to me about a father's love and how you may not understand some of the hard decisions he got to make, some of the reasons why he did some of the things he did, why he said some of the things he said. Because this world, they're not gonna sugarcoat it. But you
Right.
need it. You need the hard truth of what life is really about. And for him to let up off of me would be a disservice when he know that there was more in me. And so I thank
Wow.
God for my father first and foremost, but
Absolutely.
also these two men. Um, and like I said, it's too many to count.
Yes.
There's so many people play a part. But the fact that these two men are not here, just on Sunday, uh, I wore a piece of jewelry from Jimmy because I was feeling him. And I had
Wow.
a piece of jewelry on from Shotgun on Sunday because I was feeling him. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Yes,
these are
sir.
things that I'm grateful that I have a piece that's left here that reminds me of them. Um, but the impact that they had on my life, whether I had anything tangible or not, the memories you can't take from me. The fact that
Yeah.
I now being an older man see what they really did for me was priceless, and how they were able to um, point me back towards my father. And I think the community nowadays, we lack that. Children come and they talk about their parents, and people pat them on the back, and or immediately take their story, take their side,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, as opposed to thinking like the parent that they may be and saying, you know what if this was my child? And
Absolutely.
after experiencing some life, should be able to give them some more guidance. But unfortunately, we have too many people that like to either A, keep stuff going, or see things in a disarray, and
Right.
or just don't care
Right.
enough to go the extra mile. And like Antoine said about how the crackheads would even able to minister to him and say, hey, watch your crowd. You don't want to be like me. All this was due to influence. I have so many
Mhm.
older friends and people that my peers are mainly all older than me. And it's all because of the mentorship. And my father told me not too long ago, he told me I was a little old man. And it's, it's funny, 87-year-old, you know what I mean?
Indeed.
And but he always told me that your friends don't know more than you do. They've lived just as much life as you have. You need
Right.
someone that's lived life a little longer that can tell you some things and show you some things. So I don't want to keep things going, but I did enjoy the podcast on tonight.
To
Keep
God be the
doing
glory,
a
sir.
wonderful job. Antoine, I'm proud of you. Thank God for you sticking in there with your mother. If nobody else gets on here, you get on there with her, and I'm proud of you for that. Rose,
Thank you.
you're a Jewel. I appreciate you. I do know Rose, and love everyone. But it is 9 o'clock, and your thing is an hour, and you know I'm about order, so I'm gonna stop making
Yes,
it.
sir. Thank you. That's my pastor,
Oh,
y'all. To all the people around the world, that's my pastor. Pastor
man.
Dale Hicklin Sr., pastor of Mount Sinai Alpha and Omega Church in New Jersey. If you're in the area, come through Scotch Plains and check us out.
And
Dynamic
very
leadership.
influential too. Very influential. So
Totally. He's that dude.
definitely
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
it.
God bless you. Rose, you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Yes.
I want to thank you for coming on with us. We're going to shut down in 4 more minutes, but I want to thank you. Thank God for my pastor. Thank God for you, my sister Rose, for taking the time to come on out of your busy schedule. By the way, y'all, she's up for ministry soon. She's going to get the title that she deserves to wear because she's been wearing the hat and been doing the work for a long time, but she'll finally get a chance to wear the collar. I thank God for your life. I look forward to all that God is doing in your life. Um, Next week, we're probably going to talk about caretakers because she is one. And the role of a caretaker is not always easy one. You know, people have their reasons why they do certain things. However, when you do it in love, you do it in excellence, and it's important. I thank God for my pastor, who is also a caretaker. He's my shepherd. He's my friend. He cares for other people, you know, physically, emotionally, and he makes sure we're good. I thank God for my son, another provider, caretaker, and I thank God for me. I'm also a caretaker. I want to thank God for my producer, Raheem. Thank you so much, man of God, and the person that connected us, Pastor Jordan. I thank God for him. I thank God for everybody that took the time to listen, for all those who come into the living room and take out time with us to hear me, whether I stutter or stammer, whether I say, make a great point, whether you don't want to call in and just listen. I am grateful to be someone that you're taking time out to listen to or watch. I'm humbled. I thank God for my subject matter expert, Antoine. Thank you for coming on week after week, son. And
Always.
as they say, official tissue, I thank you for sticking by mom. You know, you don't
And,
have to.
and I'm glad you said that because I actually put a little something together to help close us out too.
Really.
Yeah. So
I was about to rap. He about to
no, no, no,
stick 'em.
no, no, no.
What
No,
you,
it's something I just wrote real quick, and
okay.
it ties into what you're talking about today, and then as we segue into Mother's Day coming this weekend. So I have it written as her influence will be my legacy. The greatest legacy we carry isn't just material, it's spiritual. And the things that my mom has poured into me, I now strive to pour into others. 2 Timothy 1:5. I am reminded of our sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded now lives in you also. So, mom, like Timothy's mother and grandmother, your faith has lived out loud. It's alive in me now because you planted it. The way you pray, the way you love, the way you serve, and the way you lead. It's definitely a blueprint that I hope to follow and pass on. So thanks for being
Man,
my influence. And I
man, this
thank
boy
you
trying to
for
make me
everybody
cry.
that, no, I'm serious though. I think for everybody that has influenced you and poured into your life because they may not know it, but a lot of the advice that you've taken and things like that, you've poured into my life to guide me in the right direction. So I appreciate you.
I thank God for you. I thank God for all of those. Happy Mother's Day, upcoming Mother's Day to
Oh,
all of
sweet.
you mothers.
Yes,
Oh,
no, just about to say that was beautiful. I don't plan to
thank you.
cry tonight. So.
I know it's raining in the living room, y'all. It's raining in the living room, just in case y'all
Well,
might
I
see
ain't gonna
the.
cry. Antoine, you got one on you. I ain't gonna cry. But it was
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Well, it's humbling. Thank you, son, for him to come off the cuff with that. It's so important. I thank you for you added a scripture to what he had to say. I thank you for allowing me to be a godly influence, even in seeing the God in me, even when it always wasn't the God in me. You know, God works all things together for the good of them that love him and are called according to his purpose. And I thank God for every one of my children. Antoine, Deborah, Samaya, Destiny, and Emily. I thank God for y'all because y'all help make me better. And my goal is to help make each one of you better, no matter how old you are. I love you all. Thank you, Pastor, for coming on. Thank you, Rose, for taking the time to stay with us. May God bless you all. And until we meet again in the living room at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday, and we stay on until 9, and we repeat on Sundays at 5. God bless you all, and may the Lord keep you, and may He watch us, over us, while we're absent one from another. Until we meet again, God bless you. See you next time in the living room.
Peace
Peace.
out.